The Starbridge hung in the void at the edge of the Orion Arm, a gossamer thread spanning the gulf between stars. Doctor. Lina Vasquez stood at the observation deck, gazing out at the shimmering filament that was the culmination of her life's work. Beautiful. Isn't it? A voice said from behind her. Lina turned to see her colleague and friend, Dr. Kaje Sorensen, floating up to join her. It's more than that, Lina replied softly. It's a miracle of science and engineering. A gateway to the stars. And it's ours. Kaj nodded, his eyes tracing the delicate curve of the Starbridge. When we fire up those singularity generators and send the first pulse down the line, it'll be a moment for the history books, the beginning of a new era for humanity. Lina couldn't help but smile at his enthusiasm. The Starbridge project had been a labor of love for both of them, an audacious dream turned reality through decades of tireless work and unflagging dedication. The concept was elegant in its simplicity, using focused beams of energy to create microscopic black holes, then harnessing the immense gravitational forces they generated to warp space-time itself. By stringing a network of these singularities together, one could theoretically create a stable wormhole, a tunnel through the fabric of the universe, a shortcut to the stars. Of course, the practical challenges had been immense, generating and containing singularities, modulating their gravitational output, stabilizing the wormhole structure. Each step had required groundbreaking leaps in physics and engineering, but they had done it. The Starbridge stretched before them, a shimmering thread of twisted space-time, beckoning humanity to the far reaches of the galaxy. Final checks are complete. Doctors, a technician reported from his console. Singularity generators are online and synchronized. The bridge is stable. We're ready for transverse pulse initialization. Lina took a deep breath, exchanging a look of nervous anticipation with Kaje. This was it. The moment of truth. Begin the pulse sequence, she ordered, her voice steady, despite the butterflies in her stomach. Let's light this candle. The technician nodded, his fingers flying over the console. Singularity modulators engaged, gravitational lensing fields active. Initializing transverse pulse in 3, 2, 1. Lina held her breath as the generators spooled up with a rising hum, the Starbridge beginning to glow with an eerie, flickering radiance. Space itself seemed to warp and twist around the gossamer filament, stars distorting into shimmering streaks. For a moment, nothing happened. The generators whined at peak output, the glow of the bridge intensifying until it was almost painful to look at. Then, with a blinding flash and a soundless shockwave that shook the station to its core, the first transverse pulse surged down the length of the bridge. Lina staggered, nearly losing her footing on the observation deck. As the pulse raced away at impossible speeds, a ripple of distorted space-time. Consoles flickered and alarms blared as the station's systems struggled to compensate for the massive gravitational flux. Then, as quickly as it had begun, it was over. The Starbridge stabilized, the generators cycling down to standby mode. The glow faded, revealing a gossamer filament that now shimmered and pulsed with an inner light, a river of stars flowing through a tunnel in the fabric of reality itself. Transverse pulse successful, the technician reported, his voice shaking with adrenaline and excitement. Wormhole stability confirmed. The bridge is open. A cheer went up from the control room, scientists and engineers alike, caught up in the thrill of the moment. They had done it. The Starbridge was operational, a gateway to the stars flung open wide. Lina felt Kaje's hand close around hers, his grin threatening to split his face in two. We did it, Lina. We actually did it. She returned his smile, tears of joy and relief pricking at the corners of her eyes. We did. And it's only the beginning. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity and celebration. Champagne was broken out, toasts were made, hands were shaken and backs were slapped. The mood aboard the station was electric, the air practically humming with excitement and possibility. But even as she basked in the glow of their achievement, Lina couldn't shake a nagging sense of unease, a tiny voice whispering in the back of her mind that something wasn't quite right. She found herself drifting back to the observation deck, gazing out at the shimmering wonder of the Starbridge. It was beautiful, mesmerizing, and ever so slightly unsettling. Maybe it was just the strangeness of seeing space itself warped and twisted, a fundamental law of nature bent to their will. Or maybe it was the knowledge that they were staring into the maw of a black hole, harnessed and tamed but still a primal force of destruction. Or maybe, just maybe, it was something else entirely. A flicker of movement in the corner of her eye there and gone again. A fleeting sense of presence, of something vast and alien and unknowable brushing against her mind. Lina shook her head, trying to dislodge the fanciful notion. It was just her imagination, surely. A trick of the mind, brought on by fatigue and the overwhelming emotion of the moment. And yet, Lina? Is everything all right? She started, turning to see Kaj floating up behind her. A look of concern on his face. I'm fine, she assured him, mustering a smile. Just overwhelmed, I guess. It's a lot to take in. It is, he agreed, moving to stand beside her at the viewport. But you've got to admit, it's one hell of a view. Lina followed his gaze back to the Starbridge, the gossamer filament pulsing softly in the void. It was beautiful in a haunting, otherworldly way. But she couldn't quite shake the sense of foreboding, the feeling that they were teetering on the edge of something profound and terrifying. Kaj, she began, not quite sure how to put her misgivings into words. Do you ever wonder if I don't know, if we're meddling with forces we don't fully understand, tampering with the very fabric of reality itself? He was silent for a long moment, his gaze still fixed on the shimmering bridge. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft but firm. All the time, he admitted. How could I not? We're standing on the edge of a new frontier, Lina, staring into the face of the unknown. It's natural to feel a little unsettled. He turned to face her, his eyes serious. But that's the price of progress, of discovery. We didn't get this far by playing it safe, by sticking to what's comfortable and familiar. We pushed the boundaries, we took risks, we dared to dream the impossible. Lina nodded slowly, his words resonating somewhere deep within her. He was right. The Starbridge was a leap into the unknown, a gamble with the very laws of physics. But it was a leap they had to take, if humanity was ever to reach its full potential. And besides, Kaj added with a grin, the seriousness of the moment breaking. If we let a little existential dread stop us now, we'd be pretty poor excuses for scientists, wouldn't we? Lina couldn't help but laugh, the knot of tension in her chest loosening. I suppose we would, she agreed. Onward into the abyss, then. Onward into the abyss, Kaj confirmed, offering her his arm with a mock gallant flourish. Shall we go see what wonders and terrors the universe has in store for us? Lina smiled, hooking her arm through his as they made their way back to the bustling heart of the station. The Starbridge glimmered behind them, a promise and a challenge all in one. A doorway to the stars and all the mysteries that lay beyond. In the days and weeks that followed, the Starbridge project kicked into high gear. With the proof of concept firmly established, the real work could begin expanding the bridge network, stabilizing the wormholes for larger transport, laying the groundwork for the first missions beyond the solar system. Lina threw herself into the work with a passion bordering on obsession. The nagging sense of unease still lurked at the edges of her mind, but she pushed it aside, burying herself in the myriad technical and logistical challenges of the project. And there were plenty of those to go around. Modulating the singularities for bi-directional transit, compensating for the massive tidal forces at the wormhole mouths, shielding delicate spacecraft systems from the exotic radiation bleeding through from higher dimensions. It was grueling, exacting work, pushing the boundaries of scientific knowledge with every hard-won breakthrough. But slowly, painstakingly, they made progress. The Starbridge network expanded, wormholes blossoming like gleaming flowers in the darkness between stars. Unmanned probes were sent through, returning with tantalizing glimpses of distant worlds and alien skies. The public imagination caught fire, dreams of interstellar exploration and colonization suddenly seeming within reach. Funding poured in, governments and private entities alike scrambling to stake their claim on this new frontier. Through it all, Lina and Kaj remained at the heart of the project, the driving force behind every innovation and advancement. They made a formidable team, their combined brilliance and determination pushing the boundaries of the possible. And if Lina sometimes caught Kaj watching her with a look that was more than simply collegial admiration, a warmth in his eyes that sent a flutter through her chest. Well, that was a frontier they had yet to explore, a leap into the unknown of a different sort entirely. But even as the Starbridge project reached dizzying heights of success and acclaim, Lina couldn't quite shake the sense of foreboding that had plagued her from the start. It was always there, a whisper in the back of her mind, a shadow lurking at the edges of her vision. She told herself it was just stress, the weight of responsibility and expectation bearing down on her. The long hours and sleepless nights, the constant pressure to push harder, to reach further. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. There was something off about the Starbridge, something that defied all their careful calculations and models. A flicker of anomaly in the energy readouts, a strange echo in the gravitational waveforms. At first, she dismissed it as instrument error, glitches in the sensors. But as the anomalies began to pile up, a nagging pattern taking shape, she couldn't ignore it any longer. She brought her concerns to Kage, hoping for insight or reassurance. But to her surprise, he seemed unconcerned, almost dismissive. It's a new and untested technology. Lina, he reasoned. Of course, there are going to be some unexpected readings, some odd fluctuations. We're pushing at the very boundaries of physics here. A little anomaly is to be expected. Lina wanted to believe him, to share in his unflappable confidence. But she couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something, that there was a piece to this puzzle they hadn't yet grasped. She threw herself into the data with a renewed intensity, poring over every scrap of telemetry and sensor reading, searching for the patterns she knew must be there. Late nights turned into early mornings, the glow of her console screen casting harsh shadows across her face. And then, in a moment of blinding insight, she saw it. A harmonic resonance in the gravitational waveforms, a precise frequency that pulsed in time with the anomalous energy spikes. It was faint, almost lost in the background noise, but it was there. A message. A signal. Something was communicating through the Starbridge network, piggybacking on the pulsing singularities to send its cryptic transmissions. Lina's heart raced as she stared at the dancing waveforms, her mind reeling with the implications. What could it be? An alien intelligence, reaching out across the void. Some exotic form of life born in the heart of a black hole. Or something else entirely. Something beyond the scope of human understanding? She knew she should tell Kage should bring this revelation to the rest of the team. But something held her back, a gut instinct that this was a discovery she needed to pursue on her own. And so, in the dark hours of the night shift, Lina set to work. She copied the anomalous data to a private server, locking it behind layer after layer of encryption. She wrote custom analysis algorithms, trying to tease out the meaning behind the enigmatic signals. It was slow, painstaking work. A maddening puzzle box that seemed to shift and change with every new insight. But gradually, piece by piece, she began to make sense of it. It was a map, a set of coordinates, etched in the fabric of space-time itself, a trail of breadcrumbs leading, somewhere beyond the Starbridge network, beyond the confines of the known universe. Lina's heart pounded as she stared at the glowing coordinates, a thrill of excitement and terror coursing through her veins. This was it. The discovery of a lifetime. The key to unlocking the greatest mystery the Starbridge had to offer. She knew what she had to do. In the dead of night, she slipped out of her quarters and made her way to the shuttle bay, a bag slung over her shoulder containing a hastily packed survival kit and her encrypted data drive. The bay was deserted, the skeletal frames of half-built spacecraft looming in the shadows. Lina made her way to a small, single-person scout ship, her fingers flying over the access panel. Lina? What are you doing? She froze, her heart leaping into her throat. Slowly, she turned to see Kaj standing in the doorway, his face a mask of confusion and concern. She faltered, her mouth dry. I found something, Kaj. In the data. A signal, a message. It's big, world-changing. His frown deepened as he took a step towards her. What are you talking about? What signal? Lina shook her head, a surge of paranoia welling up in her chest. Could she trust him? Could she trust anyone with this revelation? I can't explain it all now, she said quickly, edging towards the scout ship. But I have to follow up on it. I have to know what's out there. Kaje's eyes widened as understanding dawned. You're going through the Starbridge, he breathed, alone. Lina, you can't. It's too dangerous. She met his gaze, a steely resolve settling over her. I have to, she said softly. This is what we built the bridge for, Kage. To explore, to discover, to push beyond the boundaries of the known. She smiled sadly, reaching out to touch his cheek, and some boundaries have to be crossed alone. For a long moment, he simply stared at her, a storm of emotions playing across his face. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay, but you have to promise me you'll be careful, that you'll come back." Lina swallowed hard, a lump rising in her throat. "I promise," she said hoarsely. "I'll come back, and I'll bring the truth with me." Before she could second-guess herself, she leaned in and brushed her lips against his, a fleeting moment of connection and farewell. Then she was pulling away, turning towards the scout ship with a newfound resolve. The takeoff was a blur, her hands moving on autopilot as she guided the tiny craft out of the shuttle bay and into the void. The Starbridge loomed before her, a shimmering path to the unknown. With a deep breath and a silent prayer, Lina engaged the thrusters and shot forward, the wormhole mouth yawning wide to swallow her whole. The transition was jarring, a moment of gut-wrenching dislocation as the universe folded in on itself. Colors inverted, sounds echoed strangely in her ears, the very fabric of reality warping around her. And then, with a flash of blinding light, she was through. The wormhole spat her out into a starscape utterly unlike anything she had ever seen, a riot of swirling colors and impossible geometries. Lina checked her instruments with shaking hands, confirming that the coordinates from the signal still pulsed in her navigational computer. With a trembling finger, she laid in the course and engaged the autopilot. The scout ship surged forward, plunging into the kaleidoscopic maelstrom of this strange new realm. Lina leaned back in her seat, her heart pounding in her ears, as the truth she had sought for so long beckoned her onward. She didn't know what she would find at the end of this journey. Answers, perhaps, revelation. As the scout ship hurtled through the alien starscape, Lina found herself mesmerized by the riot of colors and shapes that swirled past the viewport. It was like flying through a fever dream, a landscape of twisted beauty and unsettling strangeness. The further she traveled, the more the laws of physics seemed to fray at the edges. Stars flickered and danced in impossible patterns, their light smearing across the spectrum in ways that defied explanation. Gravity fluctuated wildly, the ship's artificial G-field straining to compensate. And through it all, the signal pulsed steadily in her ears, a constant reminder of the mystery that drew her onward. Days turned into weeks as Lina followed the breadcrumb trail of coordinates, each jump taking her further into the uncharted reaches of this strange new realm. She barely slept, barely ate, her every waking moment consumed by the need to understand, to unravel the enigma that had consumed her for so long. And then, without warning, she found it. The signal led her to a star system unlike any she had ever encountered, a binary pair of pulsars orbiting each other in a dizzying dance of gravity and radiation. And there, nestled between the two spinning neutron stars, was a structure. It was vast, dwarfing anything built by human hands. A latticework of gleaming metal and pulsing energy. It seemed to grow out of the very fabric of space-time itself, an impossible construct of angles and curves that hurt the eye to look at. Lina stared in awe as her ship drifted closer, the structure's true scale becoming apparent. It was a megastructure, a work of engineering on a cosmic level, and it was clearly not of human origin. With trembling hands, she maneuvered the scout ship into a docking position, the structure's energy field enveloping her in a warm, tingling embrace. There was a moment of disorientation, a sensation of being scanned and analyzed on a molecular level. And then she was through. The ship settled onto a vast landing platform, the cavernous space around her thrumming with alien energies. Lina sat frozen for a long moment, her mind reeling with the implications of her discovery. She was not alone in the universe. The signal had led her to an alien civilization of staggering technological prowess, a species that had mastered the very fabric of reality itself. With a deep breath and a silent prayer for courage, Lina donned her environment suit and cycled the airlock. The first step onto the alien deck plates felt like a dream, her every movement slowed by the weight of the moment. The air shimmered around her, a haze of exotic particles and shimmering energy fields. In the distance she glimpsed movement, strange, fluid shapes that danced at the edge of her vision. "Hello," she called out, her voice sounding small and fragile in the vastness. "I come in peace, seeking understanding. I followed your signal through the Starbridge. I want to learn from you." For a long moment there was silence. Then, with a ripple of light and a sensation that defied description, they appeared. The aliens were like nothing Lina could have imagined, their very forms seeming to shift and change before her eyes. One moment they were towering columns of shimmering energy, the next, swirling vortices of exotic matter. They spoke without sound, their thoughts echoing directly in her mind. "Welcome, Seeker," they said. Their voices a chorus of whispers and sighs. "We have waited long for one such as you, one with the courage and vision to follow our call." Lina felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes, a sense of awe and humility overwhelming her. "Who? What are you?" she managed. "Why did you send the signal? What do you want from me?" The aliens seemed to smile, though they had no faces to speak of. "We are the architects," they said simply, "the shapers of worlds, the weavers of the cosmic web. And you, Lina Vasquez, you are the bridge." And with that, they began to show her. In a breathtaking montage of sensation and revelation, the architects unfolded their history before Lina's astonished eyes. They were an ancient race, born in the first fires of the universe, who had long ago transcended the bounds of physical form. For eons they had roamed the cosmos, seeding life and nurturing intelligence wherever they found it. They had shaped the very evolution of countless species, guiding them towards a greater destiny. And now, they had turned their attention to humanity. "The Starbridge is more than a technological marvel," they whispered in Lina's mind. "It is a test, a crucible through which your species must pass. A way to prove yourselves worthy of the great journey to come." Lina reeled, the implications staggering. The Starbridge, all their work, all their discoveries. It had been guided by an unseen hand, a cosmic plan beyond their understanding. But why, she asked, her voice trembling. "Why us? Why now?" "Because you are ready," the architect said simply. "In your drive to explore, to discover, to reach beyond your grasp, you have shown the potential for true greatness, and the universe has need of that greatness." They showed her then the great tapestry of the cosmos, the intricate web of life and intelligence that spanned the stars. And she saw the threats that loomed on the horizon, cosmic dangers and existential perils that threatened to unravel the very fabric of reality. "The universe is a dangerous place," the architect said gravely. "Filled with wonders, yes, but also with horrors beyond imagining. And it will take the combined strength and wisdom of all the enlightened races to face what is to come." Lina felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders, a burden and a calling all at once. "What must we do?" she asked. "Go back," the architect said. "Share what you have learned. Help your people to understand the true purpose of the Starbridge and the role they must play in the great cosmic dance." They paused, and Lina sensed a great sadness emanating from them. "But know this, Lina Vasquez, the path ahead will not be easy. There will be challenges, dangers, sacrifices. The universe demands a price for the wonders it offers." Lina swallowed hard, a chill running down her spine. But beneath the fear, a steely resolve took root in her heart. "I understand," she said softly, "and I accept. For myself and for my species, we will be ready." The architect seemed to smile, a sense of pride and affection washing over her. "Go then, Seeker. Return to your kind and set them on the path to destiny, and know that we will be watching and guiding always." With a final, mind-bending swirl of light and sensation, the aliens were gone. Lina found herself back in the scout ship, the alien megastructure receding behind her as she set a course back to the Starbridge. Her mind raced as she made the long, lonely journey home, trying to process all that she had learned. The revelation of the architects, the true purpose of the Starbridge, it would change everything. She thought of Kajay, of the concern and care in his eyes as she had left, of the need to make him understand, to make them all understand the great work that lay ahead. It would not be an easy task, she knew. There would be disbelief, resistance, perhaps even hostility. The truth was seldom a comfortable thing, after all. But Lina Vasquez had glimpsed the great pattern of the universe, had seen the role that humanity must play in the cosmic dance, and she would not rest until her people were ready to meet that destiny head-on. As the shimmering maw of the Starbridge loomed before her, Lina took a deep breath and straightened her shoulders. The revelations of the architects burned in her mind, a beacon, a warning, and a promise all at once. The path to the stars had opened before them, a great and terrible responsibility to go with the wondrous possibilities it offered. And Lina would walk that path, no matter where it led. For in the end, she knew the universe demanded nothing less, and humanity would rise to meet that challenge, or be forever diminished by it. With a final, determined exhalation, Lina guided her ship into the swirling vortex of the wormhole, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The future, humanity's future, awaited. And Lina Vasquez would help to shape it, one revelation at a time. As Lina emerged from the swirling terminus of the Starbridge, the familiar contours of the research station resolved before her. But everything had changed. The universe had shifted on its axis, the very fabric of reality rewritten by the revelations of the architects. She docked the scout ship with trembling hands, her mind still reeling from the cosmic truths that had been imparted to her. The weight of responsibility settled heavy on her shoulders, a burden and a calling all at once. The airlock hissed open, and she stepped out into the familiar bustle of the station, only to be confronted by a sea of worried faces. Engineers, scientists, security personnel, all staring at her with a mixture of relief and trepidation. And there, at the front of the crowd, was Kaj. His eyes were wide and haunted, his usually composed features etched with strain. Lina, he surged forward, clasping her shoulders as if to reassure himself that she was real. What happened? Where did you go? We've been searching for you for weeks. Lina swallowed hard, the magnitude of her experiences threatening to overwhelm her. I found something, Kaj, out there beyond the Starbridge, something incredible. The crowd murmured, a ripple of unease and excitement passing through them. Kaj's grip tightened, his gaze searching her face. What did you find, Lina? And so, with a deep breath and a silent prayer for strength, Lina began to tell her story. She spoke of the signal that had drawn her across the light years, the alien megastructure nestled between the pulsars. She described the architects in all their ineffable glory, the cosmic truths they had revealed to her. She told them of the great purpose that lay behind the Starbridge, not just a tool for exploration, but a test of humanity's readiness to join the community of enlightened races. A crucible through which they must pass, to prove themselves worthy of the wonders and responsibilities of the greater universe. As she spoke, Lina watched the faces of her colleagues cycle through a kaleidoscope of emotions: disbelief, wonder, fear, and finally, a dawning understanding. The architects. They've been guiding us all along, Kaj murmured, his voice distant with awe, preparing us for something greater. Lina nodded, a fierce pride burning in her chest. Yes, and now it falls to us to take up that calling, to step forward into the unknown and claim our place among the stars. She turned to face the gathered crowd, raising her voice so that all could hear. The Starbridge is more than just a marvel of engineering. It is a doorway to destiny, a path that will lead humanity to the very heights of cosmic wonder. But it is a path that will demand much of us: courage, wisdom, and unity in the face of the challenges to come. Lina paused, letting her words sink in. She saw the flicker of understanding in their eyes, the dawning realization of the awesome responsibility that now lay on their shoulders. I know it's a lot to take in, she said softly, and I know that the road ahead will not be easy. But I also know that we, all of us together, have the strength and the vision to walk that road, to become the enlightened race the architects believe we can be. She reached out, clasping Kaj's hand in her own, feeling the warmth and strength of his grip. The future is waiting for us, my friends. A future of endless possibilities, of wonders beyond imagining. And it starts here with us, with the choices we make and the courage we show in the face of the unknown. A long, pregnant silence followed her words. Then, slowly at first, but with gathering momentum, applause began to ring out across the hangar bay. Scientists, engineers, all those who had dedicated their lives to the pursuit of knowledge. They clapped and cheered, their eyes alight with a new sense of purpose. And in that moment, Lina felt a swell of hope and joy rise up within her. Yes, the path ahead would be hard. Yes, there would be dangers and difficulties beyond reckoning, but they would face them together, unified by a common vision, a shared destiny. In the weeks and months that followed, the Starbridge project entered a new phase. Armed with Lina's revelations, the team threw themselves into their work with renewed vigor. The Starbridge network expanded, new wormhole terminus blossoming like flowers across the galaxy. Scout ships ventured ever deeper into the uncharted reaches of space, guided by the cryptic beacons of the architects. And with each new discovery, each breathtaking wonder unveiled, humanity took another step forward on the path to cosmic enlightenment. Lina and Kaj found themselves at the forefront of this great endeavor, their partnership blooming into something deeper and more profound. Together, they faced the challenges and triumphs of this new age, drawing strength and wisdom from each other. There were setbacks, of course, moments of doubt and difficulty, when the sheer scale of the task before them seemed insurmountable. But always, the vision of the architects sustained them, the promise of a future where humanity took its rightful place among the stars. Years turned to decades, and the influence of the Starbridge project grew. What had begun as a scientific marvel became the very cornerstone of human civilization, a gateway to the greater universe and all the wonders and responsibilities it entailed. And at the heart of it all, Lina Vasquez stood tall, no longer just a scientist, but a visionary, a guide and mentor to the generations that would follow in her footsteps, walking the path to the stars that she had helped to blaze. She never forgot the lessons of the architects, the cosmic truths they had imparted, and she strove always to live up to their faith in humanity, to be the bridge between what was and what could be. For she knew, with a certainty that surpassed all doubt, that this was the destiny for which all of humanity had been born, to reach beyond the confines of their cradle, to grasp the very fabric of the universe and shape it to their will. And as she stood on the observation deck of the Starbridge Nexus, gazing out at the swirling wonders of the cosmos, Lina Vasquez smiled. The future was bright and full of promise, a dazzling tapestry of possibilities yet to be written. And humanity, bold, brilliant, courageous humanity, would be the authors of that story. The architects had shown them the way. Now, it fell to them to walk that path to the very ends of the universe and beyond. With a final, contented sigh, Lina turned back to her work, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The stars were calling, and she would answer. For she was the bridge, the link between what was and what would be. And in that glorious, terrifying responsibility, she had found her true calling. The Starbridge beckoned, a shimmering path to the future. And Lina Vasquez walked it with her head held high, ready to lead her people into the great unknown.